Coming up on TekThing, plug and play anonymity. Let's look at the Anonabox, WeBoost latest cell phone booster, 3 apps to make next year's taxes suck less, and quite a bit more, all coming up on TekThing. If you get something useful out of this episode of TekThing, please consider contributing to the show at patreon.com/TekThing. We're brought to you by viewers just like you. Thank you so much.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patrick Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we make technology behave.
At least on the good days.
And today is a good day.
Yes.
I know my shirt says, I hate you, but I don't. I love you guys. I mean, how could I hate anybody? I'm wearing a Unikitty shirt.
Unikitty
Not
had
really
a lot
Unikitty,
of deep,
but
unbridled, relatively hidden rates. It turned out to be a wonderful source of strength and empowerment.
That's why she is my favorite character.
Lego Movie FTW.
Yay!
You have a little pile of boxes.
I do!
I sense a product review.
It's a pile of boxes. We have a lot of hardware reviews for today, but starting it off, this one is called the Anonabox. So the best way to describe this, I think, is it's a little Linux-powered device that allows you to browse the internet anonymously because it has Tor inside of it.
Anonymity in a box.
Anonymity in a box. So the interesting thing about this is it was crowdfunded on Kickstarter, and then that one was canceled and they moved over to Indiegogo, and they successfully funded it. And it basically allows you to browse the internets with Tor. And we should probably explain what Tor is.
Tor, the onion router. It allows you pretty securely to, basically if you want to be anonymous on the internet and you're not particularly worried because you think the NSA is trying to find you, Tor is probably the best way to go.
Yay! So
the onion router.
The interesting thing about this, again, is that it is plug and play. It's $79.99 for the original version, and then they have some upgraded versions. The Pro is my personal favorite because it has a bunch of extra perks, and it starts at $80, $90, $100, and then $120 for the Pro version. So depending on what you need in your Anonabox, you would have to choose one of these based on what your experience would be.
It's like Tor VPN, or like Tor and VPN, or the one that does like all the things.
Yeah, this is like all the things one. So it's very easy to set up, luckily. It does come with the Tor client. There is a hard-coded password in here, which is listed in the little tutorial booklet that they give you. And it works just like an anonymous router. So it's completely installation free. There is no GUI. There's no user interface on this. So you can't really customize any of the features. You just plug it in and you play with it. So the original has to be plugged into a router or an Ethernet cable on the WAN side. So you have to plug this directly into something else, with whether that's your modem or your your router. And then you also have to power it with the micro USB port on here too. So you are required to have some kind of Ethernet connection to your actual internet connection, whether that's router or
Ethernet in a hotel room, okay.
Yeah. You could use it with that.
Wi-Fi in a hotel room, not okay.
Not okay, yeah. It doesn't have that uplink capability. However, the other ones do have that capability. So you could take it to a coffee shop and use one of these and just wirelessly connect to public Wi-Fi, which is really cool and why these ones are my favorite. The original, not so much. Personal choice of my own. It does not have VPN capabilities on the original one. So that's another reason why it wouldn't be great for public Wi-Fi or on-the-go internet access, but it is really great for anonymizing your home browsing traffic. So if you have access to that Ethernet router or that, or in your hotel maybe, you could easily use it there as long as you trust the exit nodes. So that's a big thing with Tor, is that a lot of people suspect maybe the NSA is controlling some of those exit nodes that Tor goes through to get to your websites of choice.
So when you're running Tor, it goes from your computer to the Tor network. And basically the idea is that your request bounces around through all these Tor clients and eventually hits an exit node where it goes out, grabs the information you want or the stuff you want from the server you want, disappears back into that Tor cloud and then back to you. This is the international signal for inside the Tor. But the idea is that you're here, the information gets accessed at an exit node somewhere. Hopefully it's legit.
Don't know.
Well, what happens? Are they listening, or are they actually third-party exit nodes that are actually nefarious, hacked things? Okay.
Don't know.
That's the international sign for, we're paranoid and we have
Unless you own your own
suspicions.
exit node, like.
But that would be kind of pointless unless you
it would be kind of pointless.
Or you could, in theory, build your own Tor network with a whole bunch of You could run your own Tor system by having a box at a colo.
And I know people that have set those up. So that's the base of Tor and why VPNs are a little bit different from that. And we could do a whole series on that too.
Generally speaking, for most of us, Tor is going to work fine.
Yeah. So you can't change the password or the SSID on the original version because it doesn't have that user interface. It does come with a hard-coded password that's in this little tutorial book, as I mentioned. And if you give that to anybody, if they're within range of this and they can connect to it wirelessly, they'll be able to connect to it.
Or if they see Anonabox on the Wi-Fi and then search for Anonabox and then try that password.
Yeah, hopefully it's not the same password. Yeah, each one is different, luckily.
Oh, okay.
And they are very, very long passwords. So it's not just like admin or 1234556, which is the worst password ever.
My concerns are sated.
Yeah. So the higher priced Anonaboxes come with VPN and a lot more abilities like range extension. You can do configuration. They also have HideMyAss as a VPN partnership. However, I do want to mention with that, and I'm bringing this up again, but I love...
One Privacy Guys VPN comparison chart.
HideMyAss is not so great with security. For example, they log your IP when you use them, so I prefer to use other ones. That's just a personal choice of mine. However, HideMyAss has cheaper prices, and that's one of the trade-offs of it.
Well, if you're just trying to keep your checking account information safe, I don't think you have to worry about HideMyAss logging in your
But if you're an activist
in, say, a part of the world where they like to imprison and beat activists to death, you might not want to use HideMyAss if you think they can actually serve a court order that will force them to reveal your IP address.
Might be a slight issue there.
Just saying.
So moving on, there are going to be some new VPN providers to be announced in the future, but those haven't been announced publicly quite yet. The nice thing with those ones is you can use alternative VPN providers if you so choose currently, because the higher price models have OpenVPN available for setup. Now obviously this is going to get super geeky, and if you've never set up OpenVPN or if you've never set it up with your VPN provider of choice, you have to make sure that the VPN provider that you use has the capability of working with OpenVPN, and they have to have some kind of decent documentation to be able to use it. I've done it before, so I understand how to do it in Linux. I don't feel like I would have an issue with that, but some people might. If you're a consumer, you probably don't want to deal with that, so you would probably just stick with HideMyAss.
But generally speaking, like if you are doing work on the web and you want to sit in a coffee shop, but you don't want that kid in the corner to suck down your packets, just roll with the standard box, you're okay. Well, probably not the standard box. You probably don't want
I would go with the
client.
VPN one.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Anonabox it's very easy to set up. I was able to set this thing up in maybe a couple of minutes.
Okay.
It's totally plug and play. You plug the Ethernet into that WAN port, power it with the micro USB, connect your device with the hard-coded password over Wi-Fi, or you can do it via the LAN port. And then when you hit the net, it browses with Tor, and it's so easy. And that's the big thing here, is you can check with check.torproject.org to make sure that you're actually connected over Tor. The code here for the original is open source. It is on GitHub, and they are releasing the future updated versions as they become available. The code has been audited by a few like InfoSec security professionals, leaders in the industry, so that's really good. And they have a partnership too.
It's a Tor client, not a spy.
Yeah, it's I would hope so. But the thing for me is Tor is free, and you can set it up in your browser. You can build your own router if you want to. It is a lot more complicated, and you have to remember before you browse to turn it on in your browser. So for me personally, I would not pay $80 for the device because I know how to deal with that stuff myself. Obviously, I'm not the target market, but if you are a consumer, if you've never dealt with Tor, if you've never dealt with onion routers, or you don't even understand how Tor works, it might be a really good idea for you to purchase something like this that you can just plug and play and connect to.
Or if you're thinking like, I would like to use Tor, but I have no interest in figuring out all of the configuration and stuff.
So for me, I would go with the Pro version. Yes, it is the most expensive, but it comes with Wi-Fi connectivity. It comes with Tor. You can uplink at like when you're traveling. So if I go to Japan, I could totally use this on the go, which is nice, and I would have that VPN capability with me.
Well, that one's a Tor and a VPN client, and then the Tunneler is a VPN client.
Yeah.
So if I just want to, this is the box.
And both
if you're
of these are
sitting in the coffee
customizable.
shop,
You can change your SSID and password, which is great. great. And you can also customize everything else to your liking. And I really appreciate that about these versions. But this one would be very good for a consumer who just doesn't want to deal with setting up all the configurations themselves.
I'd like to get on the dark web, but I really don't want to deal with manually configuring Tor.
It's
you got
totally
80
a
bucks,
thing.
you're golden. 80 bucks.
Yeah, so that's about it. They've had some interesting history with the company, but I think they've finally figured out what they're doing, and it's a really cool project, and I really appreciate that they're doing it. And I think that more consumers need to understand security and privacy, and if the convenience is there, I feel like more consumers will do it.
If you're not going to remember to turn on the VPN in the coffee shop and you're going to expose your business's data or your personal data that you don't want to share,
just get a little thing that lights up green and then you're good to go.
Spend $100, solve the problem.
So if you want to find out more, you can visit torproject.com, or torproject.org, excuse me. And then if you want to check out more about Anonabox, that's over at anonabox.com, and I'll put both of those in the show notes. And of course, you can always tweet me at Snubs or at TekThing or at Patrick Norton with more info about your favorite ways to secure yourself online.
Thumbs up for convenience?
Thumbs up for convenience, yeah.
Thumbs up for convenience. We are so grateful for the folks that support the show by contributing via patreon.com/TekThing. A quarter a show, $1 a show. You can keep TekThing coming every week. Every little bit helps. At higher dollar amounts, you actually get to hang out monthly with Shannon and I and shoot the breeze. It's pretty fun. If you can't donate, no worries. Please take the time to send us questions, tips, and share the show with your friends and family, and giving our video the thumbs up on YouTube and liking our Facebook page. It all helps. And don't forget, monthly Patreon only builds. We got another one coming up in the next day or two. Go check it out at patreon.com/TekThing. Thank you so much for supporting the show, and thank you so much for sending in your questions and your tips. We share as many of them as we can with the rest of the TekThing audience. Is your cell phone signal really that bad?
Uh-huh.
Is it that room in the house?
Uh-huh.
That bunker of a basement? The hill behind you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, the back of my house is usually at 2 bars, which maybe
2 bars, that's horrible.
It is horrible, but we'll talk about that in a moment. You know, sometimes 2 bars is not as bad as you think, but this is about the WeBoost Eqo, EQO. Sounds like Echo. Cellular signal booster. The idea is if you can get signal but it drops out, a signal booster might be the answer. Traditionally, for the best results, you would need an outside antenna. WeBoost Eqo is an attempt Eqo is an attempt to boost your signal without having to put an antenna outside your house.
Cool.
WeBoost is basically Wilson Electronics. I've been using Wilson Electronics products.
You have been using them for a long time.
Literally, I think the first one I bought, well, they go back to like CB radios back in the day in truck stops.
Yes.
And then I started using them in vehicles for when we were out in the middle of nowhere exploring. We'd get that much more cell phone connectivity.
Okay.
Important note, this is not magic. If you have no signal, a cell phone booster will not fix it.
Because there's no signal for it to boost.
What she said. It might fix it if you have next to no signal.
Okay.
WeBoost basically says, look, we recommend the Eqo if you can make and keep a call inside your house. You know, that's problematic, but we'll get more on that in a minute. So WeBoost Eqo is pretty cool. Works on all 4G and 3G cell phone carriers in the US. It should work on most of them in Canada. It's multi-user, which means multiple people with multiple phones and carriers in the house should be able to use it simultaneously. I tested it mostly alone and mostly with AT&T because that's what we use, and I tend to really test products when my wife is asleep. But you know, it was interesting though, but like I said, like with 2 bars in the back room of our house, I was really curious to see if we could get better performance.
Yeah.
So this is not a femtocell, right?
Oh, okay.
Those came out, we saw a bunch of those back in 2010 for some AT&T
I remember
and
those.
Verizon, right? A femtocell
They worked inside your house too, right?
Exactly, but they required an internet connection. So a femtocell is essentially like a mini cell tower from your cell provider. AT&T calls theirs the microcell, Verizon's is the network extender. So the Eqo does not require an internet connection to boost your signal. Femtocells, by the way, will give you signal anywhere you have internet. No cell phone tower or signal required. So if for some reason you have fiber in the middle of the desert and you're 200 miles from a cell phone tower, you can use your cell phone with a femtocell. I don't know how you got internet to the middle of the desert, but that's an entirely different conversation. The Eqo is essentially a repeater, right?
Okay.
This box, Yes, this box, the booster, connects to the cell phone tower, and the antenna, which is this box over here, broadcasts a signal inside of your house, or basically broadcast and receive the signal from your cell phone. So in the box, there's an antenna, the booster, and 25 feet of coax.
Oh, that's nice.
And a power supply because you've got to plug this thing into the wall. So
I'm glad they give you so much coax.
figuring out where to place this, you need the coax. We'll get into that in a second. Figuring out where to place the booster can be fun. So if you go to weboost.com/us/test-mode-instructions, you'll be able to basically take, for example, on the iPhone, instead of looking at bars, I get an actual signal in negative dB for the signal strength in my house. It's awesome. If nothing else, just go to that link, we'll put it in the show notes, and convert your phone, Android or iPhone, into test mode, just to actually learn how, like the bars and what they represent.
Yeah.
Like mostly your cell phone provider, if the phone works, you pretty much got 60 to 90 dB. There's a good chance that's like 4 or 5 bars.
Okay.
But in 3 and 2 bars, it gets very sort of the gradients get much smaller because they're really trying to figure out why your phone isn't working that bad. But basically, dB is way more accurate than bars. It's negative, and the lower the negative number, the worse it is. So negative 110 is incredibly awful, negative 60 is pretty good. And while we're talking about that, I've been shocked at how good 4G data speeds are. When I'm reading like negative 110 dB on my phone, like back in the day, that would pretty much be dead.
Yeah.
But I've actually gotten some functional signal. Not great signal, but some functional signal on 4G.
But at least it's there.
Yeah. And I should also point out, just a little snark here, if you have an iPhone and you're on AT&T and it says LTE, that's 4G LTE. When it says 4G, that's 3G.
Oh.
Yeah. In any case, just because you have 2 or 3 bars in your phone, you might not really have a particularly big problem. But what you want to do is basically put your phone in test mode, read the value, and wander around through your house and figure out where the best signal is. And when I say wander around through your house, you have to go to a place, sit there for 30 seconds to a minute, wait for the signal level to adjust, and then move to the next location, sit there for 30 seconds or a minute or two, wait for the cell phone. Because basically the signal strength doesn't read instantaneously. It takes like 30 seconds or a minute to settle in. Once you figure out where the signal is strongest, you put the booster there.
So you put that where it's strongest.
Yes, you put the booster where it's strongest. And then you put by the way, facing into your house, not out of your house. And you
don't want to boost the signal out of your house.
It sounds ridiculous, but it's important. So the WeBoost in the strongest location, facing into the house, and then the antenna wants to be facing in the same direction as the WeBoost. Do not put them like this. Bad things will happen. So this gets facing this way, and generally speaking, as far away from the booster as possible, which is why they give you 25 feet of cable. If you put it like 6 feet from the booster, you're going to have problems.
So that's like the minimum?
Yeah, get as much space in between them as possible.
Okay.
So I bring this up because I totally set it up backwards at first, derp, because, but in the last 10 years of using it was like the antenna goes on the roof of the truck and the booster goes inside. In this case, the booster is the antenna for the cell phone, and this is the
But once you set it up correctly, did it work?
Yeah, actually, it did. Your mileage is going to vary, right? Here at the warehouse, here in Richmond, we have crazy signal. There is a cell phone tower 700 yards behind us.
It's decorated like a tree.
It's really funny. It's also in the middle of well, I won't describe it so you don't track us down in the middle of the night. But there's also another cell phone tower like a mile up on a hill to our right.
Yeah, that's true.
We have all the cell phone coverage, and unlike downtown San Francisco where all the phones are using all the data simultaneously because we're all developers working on cool apps, there is no one here, and everyone around here is generally like working in a warehouse making food.
Yeah.
So outside our warehouse, I was getting negative 64 dB of signal, and on speed test that was 40 megabits down, 20 megabits up.
That's really good.
Yeah. Speed of me was like 40 megabits down, 20 megabits up. Stepping inside the warehouse, getting the layer of concrete bricks around us, took the signal from negative 64 to negative 88.
Oh, wow.
Now, with negative 88 dB, which is considerably worse, I got 20 megabits down and 22 megabits up.
Still
speed
good.
of me was rotating between 8 and 18 and 19. So I think somebody inside the warehouse was using AT&T to download something.
Probably.
Putting the WeBoost by the warehouse loading dock door gave me a big old orange light on the front of the box, which means you have too much signal to use the WeBoost. Yeah, basically,
It's like, sorry, you're good. We don't need to be here right now.
Yeah, because basically the FCC gets upset when you screw up other people's cell phone signals. So these are basically WeBoost is working with all of the major cell phone and regional cell phone carriers to work with their specs. For comparison, the best case scenario in my house, which apparently is a Faraday cage, so I was getting negative 110 dB down.
Ouch.
Or negative 110 dB.
Okay.
So I was getting 10 megabits down and 5 megabits up on speed of me. When I plugged in the WeBoost and configured it, my signal level went to negative 90 dB, like a 20 dB improvement, and I got 13.6 down and 17.3 up. So the upload speed tripled.
Nice.
I think the download number would have been higher if I'd done testing at 4 in the morning. By like 8 in the morning around my house, tons of people are using their phones in the morning. To download data or watch Netflix or whatever craziness they're doing. Which brings up a point. If you are in a place with a ton of people using a ton of data, it is enormously difficult to get more speed unless your cell provider does something really, really cool with a cell phone. It adds, it's da. You know what I mean? You can't fix too many people using one cell phone tower.
Yeah.
So in terms of inside my house, in the far corner with the worst reception, where the WeBoost worked best, and I pulled the antenna as close to that far corner as I could get. The antenna was basically in the middle of the house. It was not as good, right? In the same, in sort of the giant living room, dining room area, huge signal improvement, huge performance improvement. In the far corner of the house, where there were like multiple plaster walls, not so good.
Okay.
So, maybe I need to see if they do a 50-foot coax. But
yeah.
In theory, the WeBoost 1,500 square foot of coverage is relative.
Okay.
Right? And, part of the problem with my house is all of the plaster. So, interesting heads up, they say very explicitly in the instructions, before you use, you must register the device with your wireless provider and have your provider's consent. I don't know if anybody actually does that, but you should know that. It's available now. It's $350. It's not cheap.
Not cheap, but if you need a signal boost and you don't have to pay a subscription fee,
yes,
it might be worth it.
Basically, it's a one-time feature until they change the wireless signals.
Oh, right,
again,
of course.
and the frequencies and stuff. But we should be good to go with 4G LTE for a while.
Cool.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
It's good to know that. That corner of my house is fundamentally doomed. But it's also, depending on where your home is and what the situation is, like I said before, your mileage is going to vary. If you can get some kind of a signal and get this near the window with that signal, you are probably going to have a significant improvement. If you don't have much signal at all, things get dicey. It's worth experimenting with if you are desperate for cell phone improvement.
Cool.
Cell phone coverage improvement.
I like it. I wouldn't need it because I have very good coverage in my house as well, but if you do, that's one of your many options.
Well, the front half of my house isn't too bad. The backside of my house, just signal goes to Cruft.
Yeah.
Maybe if they offered a second antenna.
Well, you can let us know what you think by emailing us ask@tekthing.com, and we'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, tax season has just wrapped up. And I'm going to slow down a little bit. I was talking a little fast in that last segment. Hopefully you got your taxes filed with the IRS on time. If not,
hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, because by the way, tax season just wrapped.
Yeah, it was. If you didn't file an extension, you should have filed your taxes yesterday.
Yeah.
If this is news to you, I apologize for disrupting the peacefulness in your day.
Since this is currently on the minds of everybody all over the place in the U.S. and possibly overseas, if you have to put taxes into America, I figured that we should look at online accounting software.
Preparing for next year, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. Because you might be thinking about it right now. So you might be thinking, oh, QuickBooks Online. Well, sure, you can definitely use QuickBooks if you want, but did you know there's a ton of alternatives too? So here are 3 that would work really well for a small business or a person that sends invoices really often.
That doesn't feel familiar at all.
That's definitely what I have to do all the time. So my first one is FreshBooks. FreshBooks.com. I've been using this one for years to invoice clients, track my expenses, and I can track time that I spend on different projects. It's free for up to 3 clients, which is great. But if you need to add more clients than that, the price increases to $12.95 per month and then more after that. So they have 3 different paid versions that you can purchase.
That's a deductible business expense.
It is deductible. So I love that you can track your time and then generate an invoice based on your client's pricing, and then you can send it via email. The expenses are automatically imported from your bank if you set that up and connect it to your bank account. And receipts can be scanned through the FreshBooks app app as well, because they do have a mobile app that you can carry with you. You can just scan and send off so that you have a nice tracking of your expenses.
As somebody who's been a freelancer or an independent contractor on and off throughout my adult life, I got to say FreshBooks has, and certainly for me for billing, changed everything.
Yeah, it makes it very easy, which is why I've been using it for so long. But if I go over the 3 clients, I might have to switch it up to a different one. So my second one is called Xero, and this is at Zero.com.
The online accounting software alternative to QuickBooks.
I'm very interested in this one because they offer pretty much all the things that you would need if you run a small business. It does cost $9 a month for 5 invoices, 5 bills, or 20 bank transactions. That's how they sum it up. But if I have over 20 bank transactions, I was like, well, I guess I have to pay for the more expensive one. And then from there, it's $30 a month.
It's not bad.
But you can get a 30-day free trial to test the waters and see if you like it. Xero offers invoicing. They offer bank reconciliation, so you can match up your bank transactions and then sort them however you need. And then you can export them too, which is cool. You can do that with FreshBooks as well. Pretty much all of these you can export with. Payroll, inventory, which is great if you sell products, quotes, and there is a mobile app as well. They even let you file your taxes through the online application too.
That's really cool.
And I was like, what? Nuh-uh. But yeah, you can file your taxes. So awesome. They help you fill out like 1099s and W-9s and all those different things.
I love the fact that it says a beautiful accounting software.
Beautiful accounting software.
So
it's pretty cute.
I sense a lot of Etsy users in the audience.
Oh yeah, me too.
I'm just saying.
So lastly on my top 3 is Waveapps.com. I spoke about this one recently in my roundup for mobile smartphone apps because they do have an expense tracking application for smartphones, but Wave is completely free unless you want to do payroll for your employees, if you want to take payments through credit card processing, because obviously they're going to charge you for that, and if you want to receive extra help. So if you want some expert to call you up and help you with everything like bookkeeping, then you'll have to pay for that too. Now they are able to offer all these free services because apparently they have partnerships. So they have like a partnership with Amex and there's one with Dell. So you might see advertisements or you might see like some new Amex credit card for small businesses pop up now and then, but it's free.
Is that very different from like the Mint banking stuff?
No. It's not.
The same thing.
Yeah, so like they're both free. Well, Wave does give you the capability of like doing accounting, doing invoicing and stuff like that, which Mint doesn't.
I'm sorry, I meant to say that getting offers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like Mint gets paid for basically by the offers, not because you're paying them money.
Yeah, exactly. So you get receipt uploading, there's bank importing, there's accounting, invoicing, there's personal budgeting too, if you choose to just use this for personal budgeting. And then I did want to mention a couple of other ones just off the top of my head, pretty much. The other ones that I like to mention include Zoho.com. This one is over at Zoho.com. It's $9 a month up, and then there is a 14-day trial. And then there's one called Bench.co. So Bench is your personal bookkeeping team, and as creepy as I find this, meet Nicole. Meet Nicole's team. These are the people that will work with your data. So this is like a real life bookkeeper for your business, and it starts at $125 a month. So you're basically hiring somebody to do your work for you. And it might be very much up your alley if this is exactly what you need. So it's worth mentioning. And then for your personal financial planners out there, as Patrick mentioned, Mint. So Mint has been around forever. It's one of the top sites that people use to track their own personal financials. You can find savings that you don't necessarily find all the time because they do have partnerships, just like you mentioned.
Right.
And then you can also set goals. You can do all sorts of things. And this is one of those sites that will let you connect to your bank accounts so that you can see exactly what you're paying for every month. So Mint's very good for personal use. And I think that's it. Yeah, there's lots of different accounting options out there. I mean, I'm a small business owner myself, so I was looking around everywhere because I'm so sick of having to type in everything myself. And all of these are really good options. They all work really well. These are just a few of the ones that I've gotten to test. Of course, if you know of one that I just have to try, send me a message, ask@TekThing.com, or you can reach me on Twitter. I'm @Snubs right over there.
I have an award for the thriftiest viewer of the week. Ron writes in a sire thing about micro USB cables on a show a little while ago. Here's what I did. I had a power supply for Raspberry Pi 2. The end was a micro USB and it went bad. I went to the dollar store. I bought a USB to micro USB cable, cut off the standard USB end and the defective micro USB end from the power supply, soldered the new micro USB cable onto the power supply, fixed for $1.07. New Jersey had 7 cents sales tax. Ron in New Jersey.
That's pretty amazing.
Also, I as somebody who was soldering up their own test leads yesterday to fix his truck, I'm with you, Ron.
That's so good. And then tons of y'all recommended a document scanner from multiple pages that seems to work a lot better than the ones I've had experience with. So I'm kind of excited about checking these out myself. Jason writes, we use the Fujitsu ScanSnap S1300i mobile document scanner here at work. We have 4 of them and would never think of getting a different type of scanner.
Wow.
I don't remember any of them ever jamming. It scans up to 1200 dpi, scans both sides at the same time, and it can be run over USB power instead of a wall plug. Great scanner in my opinion. Thank you, from Jason. Yeah, so this is really nice. I checked it out over on Amazon. I'll put the link in the show notes, of course, for you. Now, the only difference is this one is multi-page. It's, nice 1200 dpi, but it's also $250. So it's a little bit more expensive, a little more pricey than my Doxy, but it's multi-page, and apparently, according to everyone, it works really well. So
yeah, it's like 4.5+
awesome.
stars with 1,192 reviews.
That's pretty awesome.
That's a sign of a strong product.
And lastly, from Igor. Hi, Igor. He says, "Dear Shannon and Patrick, I'm one of those weird people that has never listened to any MP3s on my phone. I still use my old iPod. It's a small and old, but it still works. So I had never had a reason to do anything else. But now I don't want to carry around an extra gadget. I have a 64 gig micro SD card in my phone. Can you please recommend an app for an Android phone for listening to music? I have an HTC Desire 626S. Also, what program do I need for my Windows 7 laptop to move the music to the phone? I hated using iTunes to move music to my iPod. I hope the program you recommend is easier to use. As always, I love your show. I watch it religiously. Thank you." From the tall Ukrainian Igor. Aww.
Thanks, Igor.
That's awesome. So yes, I do have a great option for you. Use Google Music. So you can download the Music Manager on your Windows 7 computer, and it's over at play.google.com/music/listen-weird-stuff/manager. I'll put that link in the show notes too. And then you can sync your files straight over to this application that you download. And then on your phone, you can basically listen to pretty much anything that you want to. Any of your music that you have synced to your Google account.
Just have to be logged into the
Yeah, you have to be logged in to Google account on both the Windows 7 machine and your phone. Just keep that in mind. You'll be able to wirelessly access your entire music collection on the go, or you can either stream your music using your data plan, which I do sometimes if I have unlimited data plan, or if I'm on Wi-Fi, which is also super useful, or you can pick and choose songs to download straight from the phone to your phone via Wi-Fi.
Nice.
So that second choice would let you use that 64 gig micro SD card for local storage, and that's basically how I've been syncing my music for my Windows 7 PC at home to my Nexus phone, because I have everything at home and I really don't feel like doing it manually. It's great. It works really, really well.
Oh my goodness. I actually love streaming Spotify to my phone when I'm traveling and have a cell phone signal. But I also love having gigabytes of audio stored on my phone, hence my 128 gigabyte phone. On Android, take a look at the Phonograph music player, Power Amp, Black Player, either of the music player amps. There's 2 of them, one with I think 700 bazillion downloads. Neutron is big with Audio Geeks. There's also N7 music player or Jet player, and there are literally dozens more.
There are a lot out there.
There are too many.
You check out the third-party ones, which sound awesome. I go with the Google branded one.
You know what happened? Well, I had the Moto G,
yeah.
and I wanted a better music player, and then I was like, look at all the music players! It got a little out of control.
Well, we hope we gave you tons of options, and remember, once in a while, put down your phone, step away from your screen, close the laptop, and do something, and I gotta leave mine open so I can show you the link. Like photo walking to test out your skills with photography. Because yes, this is a thing. It's an actual real thing where people get together in a group and take photos of things as they go walking. Oh, it's not competitive.
I'm teasing.
They'll show each other the photography and be like, check this picture out. And then somebody goes, oh, what aperture did you use? Oh, I'm gonna try that too. So people get to learn with each other.
Worst photograph, we kill them.
Yay!
I'm kidding. It's Game of Thrones is coming up soon.
Yes.
Yes. I'm Barry Norton.
I'm Shannon Morse.
We'll see you next week on TekThing.
Dude, Game of Thrones. I am excited. Wait, what season is this now? 7?
6.
6?
They're beyond the books.
Oh, man.
No spoilers. There will be no spoilers here. Except for the one where everybody he loves dies. Oh wait, we already knew that from reading the first 5 books.
Is that what was in there?
No, these are actually pretty good.
Oh,
I'm just laughing because somebody had torn apart this audio file cable a while back, and they were like, yeah, apparently thick plastic makes your audio sound better.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise!
Thank you everybody for checking out this episode of TekThing.
Thank you.
Our build video is coming out this week. Super excited about that.
We like making things. We like learning things.
I do.
We do.
I like to learn. I love learning.
Teaching, however.
I like to teach all the things.